Evening all. Why the candle, you might be wondering? Why the kind of spooky candle? Well, this is a video that's about Halloween, or rather it's about the origins of Halloween. Now, there may be people watching this who actually believe that Halloween is an American custom. And nowadays we associate things like trick-and-treating and so on with America and with Halloween films that are made in America and so on. But Halloween is not an American festival, nor is it a Christian festival. It's a Christianized festival. But there have been fire festivals and festivals associated with the dead and with spirits at this time of year, late October, early November, for far before Christianity came to England or Great Britain. Basically, the origins of Halloween lie in an old Celtic festival, one of the four Celtic quarter days, called or spelt Samhain but pronounced Samhain. And Samhain was the start of the Celtic year. It was the end of one year, the beginning of another year. And it was the time of year where people took stock of their animals and brought their kind of old animals in for the winter and slaughtered any surplus animals. And so there was a real sense of one year ending and a new year beginning. Now, what are the origins of some of the customs that associated with Halloween? Why the kind of pumpkins and the kids dressing up as vampires and ghosts and things? Well, Samhain was the time where it was believed that the gap between this world and the spirit world was at its narrowest. And at this time of year, Samhain, or Halloween as it's become, the dead ancestors and dead spirits could return to earth and visit their old haunts and old places. And it was very much believed that these spirits could be benevolent but also could be sinister, could be threatening, could be evil spirits. And so a lot of the origins of Halloween customs lie in the idea of how you protect yourself from evil spirits. So, for example, lighting bonfires was believed to be a way of drawing the kind of malevolent spirits to the light, to the fire, and then the fire would consume them. So it was believed to be a kind of protective thing. And even now there's an old custom that if you've got a coal fire or an open fire in the house, that if you let the fire go out on Halloween, then all kinds of sinister spirits could get into your house. And so the idea of having a fire festival at this time of year is rooted in the old Celtic customs of Samhain. Why November the 5th? Well, of course, November the 5th was the date of the Gunpowder Plot against James I. So a lot of the kind of rituals associated with fire and the celebration of fire were moved to November the 5th as a result of that. But it doesn't mean that there weren't bonfires and it wasn't the idea of burning effigies on bonfires before November the 5th. It's just that it has become associated with the Gunpowder Plot and Guy Fawkes and so on because of that. But it's a hybridisation of a previous series of customs. And so kind of a huge chunk of what was associated with Halloween has been moved to November the 5th. What about some of the other Halloween customs then? What about pumpkins and kind of carved pumpkin heads on one of these things? Well, basically the idea is, or was, that if you mimic the appearance or actions of one of these malevolent spirits, the spirits think that you're one of them, or your house is occupied already by an evil spirit and will go elsewhere. So again, it was a form of protection. So sticking a carved, sinister-looking pumpkin head in the window of your house made the spirits think there was already something, an evil spirit in your house, and it would go. Maybe originally we think maybe that the images would have been carved on swedes or turnips, or people would kind of carve faces in swedes and turnips, turn them into little lanterns that they could carry around by tying string to either side and making a string handle. But nowadays, we do it with pumpkins because pumpkins are bigger and it's easier to carve them than hollowing out something like a swede. But It's rooted in the idea that you take on the behavior. You put a pumpkin head in the house. It takes on the appearance of an evil spirit, and it's a form of protection. Now, what that also leads on to is the idea of tricking and treating, which again people think is an American custom, and maybe the words trick and treat are an American custom, the idea of knocking on houses and asking for money or you'll play a trick. But it's rooted in an earlier custom called Mischief Night. And Mischief Night was usually something that was celebrated on Halloween. And Mischief Night was the idea that young people in particular would go round and carry out pranks and play tricks on people, and tie door knockers together and crack eggs on the doorstep and all sorts of tricks like this, in order to mimic the activity of the evil spirits. So again, you protect yourself from them. So like evil spirits play tricks on people, you play tricks on people, the evil spirits think you're one of them and they go away. That's the root of the custom. In some areas, tricking and treating is still known as spook knocking or spirit knocking, the idea of banging on the door and then running away. And again, that is rooted in the idea of pretending to be an evil spirit. The idea of extracting money out of people by tricking and treating, that is a modern hybridization of it. That isn't necessarily rooted in custom. And hence that's where the kind of Americanism, the trick and treating bit adds in. But the original custom is not an American invention. It's something that is rooted deep back in old beliefs. Now, of course, the old Celtic festival of Samhain was too important and too well practiced just for the early church to ignore. So what the early Christian church did was kind of take it over and Christianize it. So what was Samhain itself, which was the 1st of November, became All Saints' Day, which is a day that Christians celebrate by kind of blessing the fruit and the wine and things that have been gathered in during the year. And then the day after, the 2nd of November, became All Souls' Day, where you think of and pray for the dead and bake soul cakes and things like this. And these kind of Christian festivals were a way of allowing people to still celebrate something associated with the dead at Halloween time without it being pagan, with it being Christianized. So it's a Christianization of it. And All Saints' Day is also known as All Hallows' Day, so the night before becomes Halloween. And so you get this kind of Christian veneer painted on what is a much older series of celebrations. What are some of the customs associated with Halloween then? Well, apart from kind of dressing up as vampires and ghosts and carving pumpkin heads in order to protect yourself from evil spirits, other customs are basically divination, the idea of fortune telling. Because the gap between this world and the spirit world is at its narrowest at Halloween, supposedly, so various customs associated with fortune telling theoretically will work better at Halloween. So what are some of the customs? Well, one of them is that if you want to know who your future lover or partner will be, that the custom is that you wait until midnight on Halloween, and then by the light of a single candle, you eat an apple with one hand and comb your hair with another while looking into a mirror. And if you do so, according to the custom, the face of your future lover will appear in the mirror, standing over your left shoulder. Another custom associated with Halloween is the idea that if you're in a relationship, particularly a new relationship, and you've got an open fire or you've got a gas fire or a hot fire in your house, you put two nuts near to the fire. And if they kind of crack and burn at the same time, your relationship will be okay. And if they crack and spit and jump apart, your relationship will fail. And again, that's some of the customs associated with Halloween. But at the end of the day, Halloween is not an American invention. It's something that is rooted in a much older festival, as is the fire and the celebration of fires associated with November the 5th and fireworks. Anyway, thanks for listening. Have a happy Halloween.